Pretty cool news for the armourers of the Astartes, both in Horus Heresy and in 40k. The Relic Whirlwind Scorpius is finally getting a plastic kit, so if you want a whirlwind with a savage bit of extra damage, then it just got a little bit easier to get. Hello and welcome back to Warspec Tactics, where today we're just talking about a new model kit reveal. As part of their Horus Heresy Thursday reveals, Games Workshop has shown off this Scorpius missile tank here, basically a resculpt of the Whirlwind Scorpius that has been about for quite a long time from Forge World, a Deimos pattern vehicle with some particularly savage rockets. I've seen really quite a lot of these on the battlefields of 40k over the years. People tend to like them as they're basically a whirlwind that costs a fair few more points but actually has a bit more damage with better AP and is often a fairly savage threat to medium infantry. We'll look through their rules in just a second, but they do remain one of the stronger options for ignores line of sight shooting for Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines into the current edition of the game. So here's Games Workshop's new Scorpius missile tank. It looks fairly faithful to the original resin kit as far as I can tell. Fairly similar missile launchers on the back of the same chassis that looks like it came from the Deimos Rhino or Predator. Apparently the lore that goes back a fair way for these things was that they were originally commissioned by the Space Wolves Legion, a tank to bring down the enemy's bastions and fortifications, for which they could then lead some glorious charges through and flush out the enemy once and for all. In the age of 40k it's somewhat of a technological rarity, but they still are about. It is a bit strange really that they seem to outclass the current pattern of Whirlwind so much if you want some extra damage and not just stratagem support. As mentioned, if you do want some actually genuinely threatening ignores line of sight firepower, it's generally tended to be this or the Sikaran Arcus in 9th edition at least. Quite a few of the other Space Marine options like the Whirlwinds and the Thunderfire cannons just became a lot less efficient in 9th edition with the points changes. I suspect that this shiny new plastic kit will be pricing around about £40, $65 or €55. That's how much they're selling the Deimos pattern Predator for, so it seems very likely that a similar turreted tank will probably get the same. I guess maybe it's not impossible that it could be a bit cheaper. It doesn't come with sponsons or as many guns on the main turret, but I feel like under Games Workshop's pricing, this price is the most likely. They haven't said exactly when this will be releasing yet, but I would guess sometime in the not too distant future, as they often have tended to follow up these Horus Heresy previews with the tank coming out really quite quickly after. Generally though, as with most of these Heresy releases, it will typically be a pretty good news on the pricing side from Games Workshop. Previously I believe that these were somewhere approaching double the cost of this from Forge World. They're not available on the web store anymore as they retired them with a bunch of other stuff earlier in the year, so good to have them available once more I suppose. They have given us a few other pictures of the Scorpius, a bit of a battlefield diorama scene, plus some side views and front views of the turret. I think it's a pretty interesting and dangerous looking rocket launcher to be honest. Looks really quite cool with the setback barrels within that weird pointed blast cage type thing. And I feel like out of the Deimos pattern tank range, it's maybe one of the ones that's a bit more popular looks wise as well. Here's just a quick comparison with the old one to the new one. Again, with the Heresy era kits that have been reimagined, it really does look pretty faithful. Looks like there's a few more options available on the plastic kit, things like searchlights and smoke launchers and things. In general though, the style and the feel of the tank is pretty much identical to the old one I think. Finally, we do have its rules in 40k. This, like a lot of the Forge World stuff, is in the Imperial Armor Compendium, and it can be taken by Chaos Space Marines or the Imperial flavour. The Relic Whirlwind Scorpius is 170 points, has the stat line of a fairly standard Space Marine battle tank, 11 wounds at toughness 7, kind of similar to the Space Marine datasheets like the Whirlwind and the Predator. Weapons wise, it's just equipped with the Scorpius pattern multi-launcher, a 48-inch range, 3d3 shots at strength 6, AP-2 and damage 2, and it gets indirect fire and blast. And with that profile, it really is quite efficient at clearing out light to medium infantry that are hiding out of line of sight, maybe on objectives or something. It's definitely taken a big fat nerf since Games Workshop toned down the barrage rules with a -1 to hit and AP worse by 1 if you're targeting things that you can't see. It's maybe not hit quite as hard as things like the Whirlwind from that though, just because it has a bit more AP to begin with. Still though, it does feel like you're paying a big premium for the damage, usually going to get around 3 hits with that profile on your target, so around 2 or 3 dead light infantry, or maybe a Space Marine if you're lucky. At 170 points that isn't particularly impressive, though I guess it is something that can remain quite safe on a home field objective and just plug away all game long, making sure those casualties are absolutely where they count rather than just whatever you can see. I feel like it perhaps is a bit overcosted at the moment though, 170 points isn't amazing, particularly as it has the relic keyword, which means that you have to pay an extra command point for the vehicle, and I feel like perhaps it was a bit more fairly costed before the barrage nerf, which was mainly aimed to affect other things in the game, and it just means that this platform's really quite inefficient now. I suspect it might be one to watch in the next Imperial armor though when that rolls round. At least historically these have been really quite threatening and an interesting choice for Space Marines or Chaos armies. In any case, let me know what you make of the new model or the current 40k rules for the thing. I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where I'll certainly keep the regular videos coming. I do tend to post new stuff just about every day for 40k. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that links down in the video description if you're interested. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, an enormous thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.